And welcome back to another episode of the show featuring DJ, CJ, and Mr. Ronaldo.
What's up?
Commander Boy Roy, still on assignment. He is, I think, actually still in Lake Titicaca, enjoying
Wow.
that farm fresh water.
I've heard it's very addicting too.
Yeah, it is. So speaking, we'll go into that actually a little bit. We have some inside jokes here on the show, and Lake Titicaca being one of them, because it was one day at Bose. A lot of these stories come from Bose. A lot of stuff from the show originates in the Bose culture. Mr. Ronaldo here comes up to me and says, "Hey, DJ CJ," because that's what they call me apparently. DJ CJ, just, we were talking. I forget exactly what we were talking about. He's just like, come up with something. Just come up with
Well, you
something
know why?
fictional.
Because we were talking about sales.
Oh, okay.
We're talking
Yes.
about sales and how a lot of it also has to do with the storytelling portion of it. And me personally, again, I'm on the search of how to become a better storyteller because I believe that's a quality that is comes in handy in anything, especially at the store because we're dealing with sales. Outside because you're dealing with just everything.
Right.
So I asked you, I wanted to test your storytelling capabilities and how you actually do this, right? So how do you, just whatever. Sell me this glass of water, I believe was the initial starting point.
And which is funny because, I'm just a little quick aside. There's never quick asides here, but quick aside.
Here we go.
Is that from the wrestling stories that I've been listening to, people have podcasts there. Like so there's wrestlers like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
He has a podcast?
Yeah, he has a podcast.
I want to listen to that.
Yeah, Chris Jericho has a podcast.
No way.
A bunch of these wrestlers have podcasts now, and they bring on these former wrestlers, they're friends, people they know in the industry, people just around, and they do these things, and they have this stuff. And there's also this all goes back to, here's the history, just real quick history. It's honestly all goes back to what they call it a shoot interview. And it usually started from like someone, like a wrestler would leave a company and then they would shoot. Now a shoot is when someone shoots, it's like when they kind of like, they're telling you a story. They're telling you like what they claim to be the truth about that. So it's like someone shoots on someone else. They're like saying like what this person is like, or, there's difference between a shoot and a work. A work is like the storyline. So that's and what they used to call kayfabe back in the day. That's like, I know I'm going
You're
way
dropping off some definitions right here, man.
I'm kind of going high level a little bit, but in any case, the most important thing you have to remember is that a work is when you are doing things like as far as the storytelling, the storyline goes. So for example, way back in the day, there was wrestlers like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan as Hulk Hogan doing the things that he does for the most part, that's a work. The flexing and eat your vitamins and say your prayers and this and that whole behavior.
That's the Hulk Hogan.
That's the Hulk Hogan persona, and everything he does as Hulk Hogan is a work. But now, if Terry Bollea, his real name is Terry Bollea, if Terry Bollea comes out and says like, hey, don't eat your vitamins, that's a shoot. This is in basic terms,
Wait, okay. So a shoot
is like telling it how like it really is. A work is like you're in character, and a shoot is like you're out of character in a sense.
Got it. So not the ideologies that you're pushing don't necessarily line up.
Yeah.
Between the shoot and the work.
Yeah.
The work is the persona. The shoot is
you personally, how you feel, how you truly feel, and what you believe. And again, you have to separate fact from fiction, in anything that you're doing and anything that anyone's saying. But there's people like, for example, in the middle of a show, you might have a guy like, let's say you have like Hulk Hogan and you have like Randy Savage. Remember those guys? I'm using big names just to people, things that people might be familiar with. I could use a little lesser known guys like even Chris Jericho. He's fairly popular, but
I recognize Chris Jericho over.
Yeah.
See, I already forgot the other person that you named.
But any of these guys, let's just say for example that you have like a Hulk Hogan and a Chris Jericho. Let's just go with that. It could be anyone. any of these characters, and let's say that they're supposed to be good guys. There's faces that are good guys and heels are the bad guys. And let's say they're both faces, and they're both supposed to like each other. Because they can faces, they're good guys. They're supposed to like each other. They all get along. But let's say in real life they don't like each other. They hate each other.
Yeah.
Say they're real mortal enemies because say one of them was just a real jerk to the other one. Mm-hmm. Right. And none of this is true. This is just for just for like a what do you call it? Just for an example.
It's a pretty damn long example.
I know, right? Yeah, side stories and all that. So anyway,
reminder: this all started with the water.
All started with a glass of water.
But yeah.
So anyway, let's say though, like on the actual wrestling show, Chris Jericho says, "Hey, Hulk Hogan, you're a real asshole." He's a good guy. He's not supposed to be saying that to another good guy. That's a shoot, because he's telling his true feelings, not the feelings that his character is supposed to be feeling.
But could the shoot also be
a work? It could be. It's called a worked shoot, where you take, and that's if you're taking the good guy and you want to make him a bad guy, then you kind of have him come out and say they're not supposed to have me out here right now, but I'm gonna say this guy is an asshole. He does this, and this, and maybe some of it's true, maybe it's not. But
and I know that this is called turning face.
That's turning heel. When a good guy turns bad, it's turning heel. When a bad guy turns good, it's turning face.
Okay.
And you can do that. You can make it, and that's some of the more successful angles have been what they call, like a worked shoot, where it's we know generally what he's going to say. He's going to say, we're letting him go out there and say this stuff, but he's not going to go, he's probably not going to go too over the top. When if he goes too over the top, then it becomes a full shoot. It's like, we didn't expect that.
Got it. It takes it
to the next level.
Point, yeah.
But so that's all that is. And so back in the day, they would have what they called shoot interviews, and I don't know who the first one was to do this, but I'm sure it was just some guy who, kayfabe is basically the story. And if you break kayfabe, that means you're going out of character and you're pulling the curtain away and showing, the wizard behind the thing, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, kind of a thing.
Wait, what's kayfabe again?
So kayfabe is like the story, is the character. This
is what it's called. This is the definition. This is the word.
I honestly don't know what the exact dictionary definition of kayfabe is, but
I didn't know that kayfabe is an actual word. So this is the word that you use to define.
I think so. Going back into history a little bit more, it all starts with the circus, actually.
Shit. Okay.
And that's how wrestling, professional wrestling, got its starts, was in circus wrestling. Moving from town to town. Kayfabe being it's what the promoter wanted you to believe was going on.
The show.
Yeah, exactly. And interesting thing, someone that people that believe wrestling is real. I know, don't get me wrong, wrestling is real. It's scripted, but the things that they do each other is real. I would never say that
somebody has to
not.
do that. Somebody has to be there.
I would never say that it's not. I think because honestly that's a cardinal sin in the wrestling business.
Dude, that sounds like a slap in the face.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And so I would say it would be like saying what you do, selling stuff at Bose. That's not real.
Whatever.
Yeah. So it's slap in the face. So I would never say that. But so what they would do is there were people that would basically buy into whatever the promoter was saying. And they were called marks. And the reason they were called marks is because whenever the promoter realized, hey, this guy looks like a real, rube, he'll buy anything I say.
That's just called it's a person that's very susceptible to
what they're saying.
What they're saying.
Yeah.
A consumer.
Yeah.
It's what's it called? A gullible.
Yeah.
Hey,
in some
gullible's
cases,
written on the ceiling, and then people are going to look up.
Yeah, exactly. I almost did.
I know. I mean, I said it. I almost did it too.
Right. So what these promoters would do is they would have chalk on their hands, and they would be like, "Hey, how's it doing?" and pat you on the back, and you would get marked, and so that all the other carnies, the circus folk in the area, would know who the gullible ones were.
Yeah.
So that's where the term mark.
This is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of messed up.
Yeah, its origins are a little messed up, but that's what they would do. They would mark you, and how it came out later, you know, that people that were like really into this stuff, you know, you're a mark, you know, or you know, marking out, which is kind of like, honestly, like marking out is like geeking out, you know, and when something really cool happens in wrestling, which is like, you know, even wrestlers themselves can mark out, you know, because it's like, oh my god, that was just awesome.
Sorry, my mind is going. It's going places.
Yeah.
Going to Lake Titicaca and back
Right?
3 times. You know what I'm saying? Because this thing is not only applicable to the wrestling industry. I mean,
It's the world.
Anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
A group of friends, a little gang.
Yeah.
You're gonna have your mark.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I say it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Just this is what psychology. This is social
like
dynamic social psychology.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Dude.
So it's deep. You
Masses, you know?
Right?
Yeah.
So.
And not only that, it's also the anxiety of you yourself being a mark.
Right.
And I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
You know, self-anxiety there. It's like, when have I been a mark?
Yeah.
Am I a mark right now?
Right.
And then you just start going paranoid.
Yeah, exactly. You can't take it too far, or else you get, like you said, you get paranoid.
And
so that's no good. And anyway, like I was saying before,
do you have chalk on your hands?
I don't think so. So I was gullible. I marked out for that. But no, they you know. So I'm sure it started somewhere with these shoot interviews where these wrestlers,
that's fascinating.
who were isn't it? Who were like maybe disgruntled or just, you know, wanted to, you know, ruin someone else, whatever. They wanted to ruin someone else's story or something like that. They came out and they said, like, you know, this, and this is what it was really like. This is what it was really like working for this guy. This is what, you know, the situation really was. This guy over here was an asshole, and he did all this stuff, you know. And
they're using on that platform.
Yeah, and some of it you have to separate fact from fiction. You know, sometimes it's someone that, you know, a lower known guy, you know, that wasn't really popular with the crowd, you know, and said like, oh, hey, this guy here, he kept me down. It's like, bull crap, he did. You just couldn't get over, you know, you couldn't get popular with the crowd, and so you're blaming it on someone else, you know. And so some of it is, and some of it might be true. The guy might be a dick and was trying to hold him down to keep his own spot, you know, but most of that stuff I think is just, you know, sour grapes. But at some point, these, you know, shoot interviews started, you know, and there's, I've seen ones called like You Shoot. I've seen kayfabe commentaries. I think it's like the same guy. There's RF Video, which is one of the ones that I was most familiar with, like early on.
These are channels people are outing.
These are, well, kayfabe commentaries and You Shoot. I think it might be the same guy. I'm not sure. It might have evolved. I don't know. But anyway. Those are YouTube channels that I found, or YouTube, or I think they might be videos, but I found those videos on YouTube. Like, I think other people promote them and things like that. And, you know, getting back into legality and monetization, I don't know how that works. But in any case, you know, they're releasing these things probably, you know, way back in the day, it was like VHS videos. And there was this guy, Rob Feinstein, who, I don't want to get too much into him because he's got skeletons in his closet, but he, you know, produced these, what they called RF, Rob Feinstein videos, which were, he got these people that were in the industry and just started interviewing them.
As a shoot.
Yeah, as a shoot, saying like, hey, you know, shoot on this guy, you know, tell me about this guy, you know, and it took off from there. You know, people started getting like this backstage access almost into the wrestling business, you know, and I've been, you know, big on listening to a lot of that stuff. And you know, you get that kind of that backstage access. And it's really cool to learn some of the stuff that you didn't really know that was going on, that maybe you were marking out to, and you didn't realize you were marking out. You know?
Yeah.
So, and again, as I keep saying, you have to separate fact from fiction. You have to take a lot of the things these guys say with a grain of salt, because everyone's painting their own picture of what happened, you know?
But so, it's part of the puzzle.
Yeah.
I mean, because
you got to put the pieces together. Yeah.
Figure out your own damn self.
Yeah. And so, I honestly don't at this point remember how this links back to the Lake Titicaca.
Before you went off to, you gave an example. This is an example of storytelling.
Yeah. So I think we're talking about storytelling, and we'll have to listen to this again and find exactly where I was going.
Absolutely.
But anyway, maybe this will be like another part where I finally finish what I was thinking about there. But anyway, that was the main thing, is that, you know, you get this kind of backstage access into what was going on in these people's lives, you know, and things like that. And I always thought that was really cool. So, you know, if Ronaldo comes to me and, you know, wants me to tell the story and basically get into the sales, you know, to be find out for himself. So so now I actually remember where this
Bing,
all started. Yeah, light bulb. There it is. Ding,
there
right there. So I remember on one of these interviews, there's this guy. His name is Eric Bischoff. He is like he ran WCW, which was they were like really big in the late 90s, and they collapsed and this and that. And he originally interviewed for a job with the WWF, the company that he went to actually end up competing with. And I remember one of the things that he said was, he was getting a job as an interview position. And I've heard this from a lot of different sources as far as people, what Vince McMahon, who's the owner of the WWF, now WWE, would ask people, their interviewers, to do. He'd say, interview that broom. Or he'd say, sell me that broom, to see how good you were as an interviewer or as a salesperson, sell that broom or interview that broom. And I've heard not only Eric Bischoff, but a lot of different people relate that story. And I think that's probably, it might be kind of an old school sales interview tactic.
Got it.
Which I've never used it myself. I don't know. I think it's a little bit too old school. I think there's a little bit more cerebral ways of interviewing now. But in any case, and that was to test your mettle, how good you were at interviewing, and selling. And so it's funny that, that basically you told me, sell me this cup of water, right. and that was a very similar thing to what, and
that's why you linked it
together. Yeah. Cause they would be telling them back in the day, like, hey, sell me this broom or interview this broom, it's like same concept. Sell me this cup of water.
Right.
And then using that creativity, and I realized, like, if you were interviewing me for a job, I probably would have gotten the job based on what I said, and so I launch off into this whole thing about how this water was, came from Lake Titicaca.
Oh, and there's a whole backstory.
Yeah, and honestly, stupid American that I am, I don't even know actually where Lake Titicaca is. To tell you the truth.
Now you're giving
no idea. Now I'm giving the backstage. This is I'm shooting on myself. I have no idea where Lake Titicaca is.
Yeah.
None at all. But I was just like, yeah, I came fresh from the shores of Lake Titicaca. This is the finest water that you'll ever taste in your life. It's actually, there were Peruvians, and Lake Titicaca in Peru, for all I know, could be like completely opposite ends of anything.
But you don't know this.
Yes,
this
but it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter what you know. It matters what the other person knows. So if the other person doesn't know Lake Titicaca from Peru, then you can say that they're right next to each other because they don't know. Doesn't matter. And you can always go back and edit it. And I kind of gave myself a little bit of an out. And I said they were Peruvian nomads. So they could have been they were from Peru, but they could have gone anywhere. So they went to Lake Titicaca. These Peruvian nomads who know water. They know what water is. They went to Lake Titicaca and they bottled it at the source. The most fresh, the most pure water that you will ever have in your life. Handpicked by Peruvian nomads from Lake Titicaca. Normally they're known for their coffee, because the Colombian coffee. Actually, Colombians, I think, are. Peru is also known for coffee. But Peruvian coffee is.
I think they're more the shamans.
Yeah.
Things like that.
But that's, they know coffee and they know water.
Yeah, I mean, Colombians have coffee. Peruvians have water.
You need coffee beans and you need water to make coffee. So.
They play off each other.
Yeah. And that's where I took it. I just went off on a tangent about these Peruvian nomads harvesting water from Lake Titicaca.
All the sacrifices they have to make to get that water.
Yeah,
that's why you should buy it.
Exactly, and not only that, it's the freshest water you'll ever taste in your life. Exactly. And I sold it, and he drank that water, I think, as I recall.
You sold what?
And I think I sold you the water.
Did you?
I think I sold you on the water. You probably took a sip. You were like, this is pretty good. You marked out for the water.
Yeah. I'll always mark out on it.
Yeah.
Knowingly.
Yeah.
Knowingly.
And so, yeah, that's a little bit of little 20-minute story about water selling, and and that's what you got to do, and that's what, like you said, selling is about, making someone mark out. When you're selling, whatever you're selling, you're trying to make them mark out for your product. if it's a Bose speaker, you're trying to make them mark out for Bose. Now that's the thing is that you're going to have, just like in like the wrestling business, you're going to have marks, you're going to have the smart marks, and you're going to have the people that are just like total non-believers. It's like that in anything. So you're going to have the marks, you're going to have the people that are just going to come in, give me that one. Give me that one. I heard Bose is great.
Buying blindly.
Yeah, just blindly
blind.
Just accepting it and whatever,
And then the smart marks are the blind leading the blind?
No, smart marks are the ones that are like, it's like I've done my research. I know a little bit about Bose products. I've listened to a couple of different speakers. Tell me why yours is better. And then now the smart mark is the guy that you have to actually sell to. Now, and I'm using like the, wrestling lingo, but that's whatever.
That's fine.
But now, so like, so like, just like in wrestling, the smart mark is the guy that knows, they know that it's fake. Sorry.
Oh,
no,
I see.
I don't, sorry. Cardinal sin.
Not knocking on wrestling.
No, sorry.
They understand.
They know that it's scripted. I would never say that it's fake. It's real. These people do real things. They get real injuries.
Yeah, they get messed up, man.
I don't ever want to actually say that. I slipped out. So anyway,
shame on you.
I know, shame. So it's scripted. But these smart marks, they're the ones they know that it's scripted.
They choose,
and they choose to watch it anyway.
Yeah.
And for the most part, a mark is going to just like blindly enjoy it. They're going to blindly enjoy the Bose speaker or whatever speaker. They're going to blindly enjoy the product and be like, yeah, this is awesome. The smart mark may not necessarily enjoy it. They'll watch it, but they may not be like, oh yeah, this is so awesome. Until something happens that lets you kind of suspend your disbelief. Kind of like when you're watching a movie or watching a TV show. Right. It says like, oh my God, this could really happen. When someone maybe goes off and shoots. Even if it's a work shoot,
or it's done in such a way that
it seems like a shoot. Yeah. When they're able to like blend that fact and that fiction in a way, blend that storyline and that real life and make it seem real.
Or even,
I was just gonna say when that happens, that's like, the marks, they're like up here all the time, but the smart marks, they're kind of like down here as far as their enjoyment level, but they'll peak way up here, way above like where like the normal mark would, because they're marking out. They're normally so much like baseline lower that it's like, oh my God, it's almost a sense of pride in a way that like I am proud of you.
To surprise me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm proud. It's like I am proud of this wrestler company, whatever. I am proud of them for being able to draw me in, even if for a split second, to draw me in and make me believe for a second, that I could fly, or whatever, So that's where, you have, and same thing with like the speakers, you draw that smart mark in, that person that's like, oh, I did my research. I know like a little bit about speakers. And you're just like, let me show you a speaker. And you play their favorite song. You do what they call the quick wow there. You play their favorite song on every speaker in the store, and you just like
fill them with dopamine.
And they're just like, oh my God, that's awesome. Like, holy crap, I love this. Like, you make them mark out for your product, whatever product it may be. And you do it in a lot of cases by making that emotional connection. Wow. Helping make that emotional connection. But the most important part is no matter what preconceptions they came in with, you have to make them believe in what you have there, despite any preconceptions. Same with like the wrestling. Despite any preconceptions that the person may come in with, you got to make them believe that what you're doing is real for that moment.
For them.
Yeah,
exactly. It's personal.
Yeah. Exactly. You make that connection, and they get that high. And those are the kind of people that a lot of times they mark out and they buy the product, whatever product you're selling. They buy the wrestling product. Now, the only thing is that if, your product actually, whatever you're selling has to, can't be snake oil. Because if you make someone mark out and you're way up here, and then they realize the quality is way down here, they're going to be even more upset. Like if you get someone to mark out for
bite you in the ass, they can just come back later.
Exactly. Like if you get someone to mark out for your shoot, let's say, and then they go and they find out somehow, like it gets out that it was all just a work, Like they're gonna be like, oh my god, I marked out for that, and their appreciation might go way down. They might be thinking like, wow, that was awesome, but it's wait, no, you kind of you tricked me.
You lied to me. You betrayed my trust.
Exactly. You know,
Yes.
and a certain amount of that even is kind of like marking out, you know, like the fact that you're like, oh, you betrayed my trust.
You're
taking it too personally, and that's another form actually even of marking out, which is
wow,
funny,
that's even more
right?
like that's insidious, man.
Right? It takes it kind of deep. You know, this whole thing is kind of deep.
Jeez.
But and then you have, you know, the people that are just the total non-believers, and you remember these guys are usually the assholes. You know, this is
ruining it for everybody.
Exactly. These are the people that go out there in the wrestling business and say, "Oh, wrestling is fake." You know, that's that kind of person. You know, it's like, "Oh, you want me to show you how fake it is?" You know, and they get a punch to the face. You know, was that fake? You know, the real, real tough guys, doing real things. You know, it's a lot of, acrobatics in some cases. It's a lot of, hitting certain spots exactly right. You know, and it's, a lot of ways it's like a dance, between two people, making sure that everything goes off right. And a lot of the more experienced people, they can do it, without anything.
Like anything can happen between point A and point B.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how you get there.
Yeah, and they do it. They can execute it very well without having to say a whole lot.
Right.
Now,
well, then you also start to you learn what the other guy's going to do before they do it.
Exactly.
But now we're getting into
kind of a meta. But so and then like I said, on the flip side with like sales, you have those non-believers like, oh, I have a $10,000 system, it's what's yours gonna do, it does this, and it's like, mine's better. Well, of course yours is better. You spent $10,000 on it. I mean, just because you're a non-believer doesn't mean you have to come in and look at the product and trash it. You don't, like, from a wrestling standpoint.
Well,
you don't have to go and trash wrestling just because you're a non-believer.
Well, now Martin, the non-believers are they're marking you.
Yeah, they're saying that you're the mark. Yeah. Non-believers are saying like, you're such a mark. It's like, well, sometimes there's not a problem with being a mark. I mean, if as long as it's something that you can appreciate, it's, what's really the problem? You don't want to be like a blind mark. Someone that's just like following something for the sake of following it.
Yeah.
Someone that you don't want to be that guy that's just like, oh, give me that product because I heard that it's Bose and I heard that it's great. You should do your own independent research and realize yourself that it's good. So I mean, it's better to be a smart mark than it is to be a mark. But right, because you want to actually like you know what's going on. You're not just blindly following it. You know what's going on, but you still appreciate it anyway.
Well, I mean, what's the end game of a non-believer?
The non-believer, they're there just to rain on everyone else's parade in a lot of cases.
The smart marks can turn into non-believers really fast, but then you get cynical.
Yeah,
because then in the end, I can get really cynical. For example,
yeah,
like I can say nothing really has a purpose.
Right. Oh yeah,
it's all just the goddamn sham.
Right. Then you get into nihilism and stuff like that.
I guess, yeah. Cynicism leads into nihilism, but
yeah, and I mean,
and then you just go jump off a bridge.
Right.
You find no purpose.
The show does not condone suicide.
No, not at all.
But no, yeah, you have to take it to a certain point. You can't go to that like the nth degree and say like, okay, like nothing matters. Because then like literally nothing matters. You have to find a certain balance between being a believer and a non-believer, and everyone, like I said, there's going to be the people that are going to there's going to be people that just like to ruin someone else's day.
Right.
Just because it makes them feel better because their life didn't turn out the way they wanted it to.
Someone ruined
their life, or they ruined their own life. So they need to.
Are there any do you think that there's non-believers like that? How do you make the world better? Instead of like, because you can really ruin somebody's life.
Well, yeah, I think that as far as that's concerned, you just, if you're a non-believer, that's great. As far as, anything from like, it can be literally anything that you're going to be a non-believer of, but unless you have like, when it's, and I'm talking about subjective things, I'm talking about the enjoyment of wrestling. I'm talking about the enjoyment of sound, a speaker, things like that is all subjective. When it comes to scientific things you can measure, there's fact and there's fiction, but when it comes to something that's subjective like this, it's open to interpretation. And so when something's open to interpretation, if you're going to be a non-believer, that's great. You can say like, hey, this is how I feel, but don't ruin it for everyone else. That's like someone going up to a little kid and saying, hey, kid, there's no Santa Claus. Why are you going to ruin it for him?
It's going to happen, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
If nobody... And then it's like, do you have the responsibility of doing that?
Yeah.
Of saying, kids,
I mean,
if
you want to believe, what's wrong with believing? In anything, in any subjective, non-measurable thing. If you want to believe in it, just go live your life and believe in it. And hey, I'm not gonna.
Well, it's like
rain on your parade.
Choosing to believe.
Yeah,
that's when we become adults. Is you have
choice. It's all about choice.
Freedom of choice.
The illusion of choice. Remember that? Remember that? Power and choice.
Power?
Yeah, remember that? That'll be the next episode where we get into illusions. That's a meta discussion right there. That'll take us
off and beyond. But it's like loss of innocence to becoming like Mark to smart Mark.
Right. And I don't think everyone has to become a non-believer. There's certain things that as long as you're enjoying it, you're going to be that smart Mark. You're going to be smart. You're going to understand what the concept of it is, but you're going to mark out.
Dude, a mark is a mark.
It's a mark. Yeah. But like I said, as long as you're understanding what's happening, there's nothing wrong with marking out to something. I don't think. As we go on with like wrestling terms with this, and it's just,
yeah. Well, and I think in urban settings, being a mark is not good either.
No, probably. I don't know. I can't speak for that because I've never lived in that. So, never lived the life. I tend to. I'll speak on what I know, but I can't. I won't ever assume. Let's try not to.
That's good. That's
it's
nice.
Go away.
Realize that.
That's.
I can't speak much about it, but
yeah. I mean, I can't even speak much. I can't speak about the wrestling industry. I still kind of do it a little bit. I watched and listened to a lot of this stuff, but there's the actual wrestlers, the people that lived the life. I won't ever try to say like, hey, this and this. There's this guy, Dave Meltzer, who kind of, I think, I'm not gonna get into too much about him, but he has from what I understand, he has kind of a bad reputation amongst them because I feel like he tried to do that. He tried to say like this, and this is how it is in the industry, and they're just like, you don't know what you're talking about because you're not in the industry.
Stop trying to give away secrets that you don't really know.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know how much of that is, again, fact and fiction.
I mean,
how much maybe he was on point, but they didn't want him to admit that he was because it's like, you're kind
first of all, he's an outsider, and then
yeah, exactly. When you have outsiders telling you these things, so it can get a little dicey there, but I feel like he has a bad reputation because at least the general consent, it seems like the general feeling is that no, I don't know enough about it really to say definitely. Oh yeah, he's this jerk who's just talking about things that he doesn't know, talking out his ass. But there's been plenty of people who do say that, who do espouse that opinion, from what I've heard. But
CJ, would you be okay with actually putting this stuff on Snapchat or something?
On Snapchat?
Yeah.
As far as the recording?
Like what we're doing. I mean, because if you think about it, we're sitting here, two gentlemen, very fine gentlemen, very handsome.
Yeah. Rugged, even.
And smart, intelligent.
Yeah, smarks.
Creatures.
Smart marks. Yeah.
And non-believers at the same time.
Right.
Definitely not assholes.
No.
All the time.
Oh, not all the time.
But definitely some of the time. But we're two people here. We're in the room.
Nice.
We're recording. We're creating something.
Yeah.
Whether it has purpose or not.
Right. Whether it's popular now or 700 years or nobody likes it or one person likes it, time will tell. But
time is
we're
going.
Creating art. We're creating something.
I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's art.
I don't know. It's something. Everything's art.
We're speaking physically. I'm speaking into this microphone. It's sending signals out to this thing. It's getting saved. And you can reproduce it later.
Right.
So I can also put it up on Snapchat.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is me doing this.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not even asking you.
We can.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think we can promote it. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with promoting the show.
And it's not. I'm not promoting the show.
Yeah.
What I'm promoting is us
doing
this.
Yeah.
The actual.
Yeah. No, I don't have a problem with it.
Action.
Yeah. But
I'm not looking for money.
Yeah. Just looking for one person to like it.
Like DJ CJ says, and I'll say it too, as Ronaldo, we're not doing this for money.
Yeah. Money would be nice, though.
Send us money.
Yeah. Please, we're poor. No. Yeah, we're so poor, sitting in a little, like, not studio, but sitting in a bedroom with a setup with microphones and a computer, I think we're pretty well off.
The lights are on.
Yeah.
You just drank some coffee.
Yeah.
I think everything.
We got it pretty good.
I have a jacket on.
Yeah, I got a jacket on, too. I think
socks.
We're doing good. Doing good for ourselves. But, yeah, it's about having fun. That's all it's all about. But heading into the 35th minute here, I think we'll cut it here and we'll get ready for the next part. Go to the green room, go to the catering, and
yeah, because we have a lot of that.
Yeah,
donuts.
Yeah,
there's actually pastries close by.
Go nuts for donuts.
There you go.
So thank you guys for listening. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, whatever you can do on whatever medium we're doing this on. Thank you though mostly for listening. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoy making it. Ronaldo, closing thoughts.
Thanks for enjoying us.
Yeah. Not too many. I don't think we had a single maybe one life nugget.
Don't be a mark.
Yeah, that's a life nugget there. Don't be a mark. Be a smart mark.
But if you're gonna be a mark, enjoy it.
Yeah, just enjoy yourself. That's the only thing. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening, and have a great day. We'll see you in the next one.